We also, of course, have to fix our broken criminal justice system. The United States has 5% of the world's population, but 25% of the world's incarcerated individuals. America sends more people to prison than any other country in the world. We have increasingly become a society that over-incarcerates and undereducates. And you can trace the explosion in our prison population to the failed war on drugs. In 1971, President Nixon publicly declared drug abuse public enemy number one. At the time, there were less than 350,000 people incarcerated in America. Today, there are more than 2 million. And the explosion in the prison population, of course, hasn't made us safer. Because the majority of people who actually have been sent to prison are there for nonviolent drug offenses. These are individuals who needed treatment and instead they got a jail cell. At the federal level, only 11% of the people who are currently incarcerated actually committed a violent crime. Only 11%. The era of mass incarceration has had a devastating impact on many of the communities I'm privileged to represent, while at the same time benefiting others in upstate New York. In the 1970s and 80s, the upstate economy collapsed because the automobile factories, the steel mills, the manufacturing plants all left. A decision was made by both Democrats and Republicans to replace the jobs that were lost and revive the upstate economy by building prisons in their place. And here's the problem: once you build a prison, you have to fill the prison. In 1989, one of the most popular movies of the year was called Field of Dreams, starring Kevin Costner. Costner played the role of a farmer who was moved by his spirit to build a baseball diamond in the middle of the cornfields of Iowa. At first, he hesitated because there were no baseball players anywhere to be found. But ultimately, he decided to move forward because he was compelled by a powerful voice that said, some of y'all know the movie, if you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. Once you build the prison, you have to fill the prison. And for decades, those prisons were filled with people from Brooklyn, the Bronx, Upper Manhattan, Southeast Queens, and the North Shore of Staten Island, often sent away as a result of the draconian Rockefeller drug laws. Young people from New York City used as economic commodities for the benefit of upstate New York. Now, thankfully, in 2009, when I was in the state legislature, we repealed the draconian Rockefeller drug laws, and guess what? Crime hasn't gone up, it continues to come down. And now it's time for us in Congress to do the same exact thing at the federal level. Now, I understand that some folks may be skeptical about Congress's ability to deal with criminal justice reform at a time when Democrats don't control either the House or the Senate. And certainly there are many of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, some of them who aren't interested in moving any productive legislation forward. A few don't even believe that the federal government should exist. Now, since I'm in front of family, there's some times when I'm on the House floor and nothing is happening productively to deal with your problems and those of the American people, when I'm tempted to cross the aisle, approach a few of my colleagues and effectuate a citizen's arrest I want to charge them with the crime of impersonating a legislator. But I figured if I did, I might get in trouble with the sergeant at arms. And thankfully, on the issue of criminal justice reform, there's some good news to report, because Democrats and Republicans, progressives and conservatives, wide-ranging organizations from the ACLU to the Koch brothers are all coming together to make something happen. A few months ago, in May, I helped to co-found a bipartisan House caucus on criminal justice and public safety, along with 3 of my colleagues, designed to get the reform effort over the finish line. My partners in this effort include Raul Labrador, a Tea Party Republican from Idaho; Jason Chaffetz, a conservative Republican from Utah; and Cedric Richmond, an African-American Democrat from New Orleans. And so we've got Idaho, Salt Lake City, the Big Easy, and the People's Republic of Brooklyn all represented. You know we're going to get something done. And the good news is that in the fall, both the House Judiciary Committee and the Senate Judiciary Committee came together to pass bipartisan sentencing reform legislation that would give judges more discretion to hand out fair and equitable sentencing and roll back some of the mandatory minimums that have been sending young people away for unjust and unconscionable sentences. It was a bill that passed the House Judiciary Committee unanimously and had significant Republican support in the Senate. And then in December, just last month, we came together, a few of us, Democrats and Republicans, and met in the White House with President Obama to come up with a comprehensive strategy for getting this legislation over the finish line.